Hello, fellow Whovians, one and all. Welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil, and today we are going to have a two-part special. This week and next week, we're going to have separate teams talking about how we're coping through the wilderness time before the 60th anniversary and the appearance of Ncuti Gatwa, the 14th Doctor. We are very excited about Doctor Who coming up in November. We still don't know the dates yet. We just know the names of the 3 episodes, but we wanted to see your take on how you are coping with what getting through Doctor Who, whether you're watching classic series or if you're watching another series. We're taking our time to step outside the Whoniverse and talk talk about shows that are not necessarily Doctor Who, but shows that you might be geeking out with that we could share with others to show, hey, we'll survive the Whoniverse, but it's getting very close. We're only a couple months away. It's September now, so welcome to it. And we're going to get through October, which we have the Phantasmagoria. Don't forget to say hello in the chats. Yet it is. First of all, hello and happy TARDIS Tuesday. Happy TARDIS Tuesday to you too. Yet it is. I'm catching my breath.
I love that name. We're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to use that hashtag from now on.
Happy TARDIS Tuesday.
TARDIS Tuesday.
Team TARDIS Tuesday. Okay, I like it. I'll take it. And we're going to be discussing our favorite shows and movies while we are waiting for the 60th anniversary and the new series to come up with Ncuti Gatwa. And I think I got it wrong. I think it's Ncuti's the 15th Doctor, right? Did I get this back? Yes. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of nods.
Yes. Ncuti's 15.
Gotcha. And then speaking of which, let me go ahead and bring on the other panelists who are going to be assisting us. And don't forget, it's live chat. And tell us what you think about our picks. Tell us what you pick for the meantime while you're waiting for Doctor Who to show up. And that lovely voice that you're hearing are Capaldi eyes.
My eyebrows aren't nearly angry enough.
The lovely Paparazzo. Now, here's the thing. Dave's going to be leaving us. He's going to be taking care of your chats in the meantime. Dave is going to be handling the second part of this series next Tuesday with, I believe it's Melanie, Kevo. Oh, God, I'm doing this from my head. Tom, Mark, and I think one other. Oh, Nisha. Nisha should be back here.
Yeah, Nisha should be back. That's right.
We've had a lot of people are coming back to the show who's taking some time off to deal with things, conventions and stuff, so we're happy to see that. Speaking of which, Paparazzo, what do you got coming up before you leave us in a moment there?
So at 6 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to be over on my Twitch channel.
There you go.
I'm going to try out some ramen in solo mode. And that is twitch.tv/TheRatHole DOTCA. Other than that, I might chime in here and there if I feel the urge. But generally, you won't see much of me until then. Maybe the after party. I will be off in Nowheresville taking care of your chats.
Gotcha. He's going to be taking care of the chat, so he's not going to be seeing too much in here but if you want to see if Dave can take care of the chats, please go ahead and chat away right now. And Dave's going backstage while to handle your chats out there. So definitely. Speaking of which, handling the chats, here we go. Mr.
Handling chats, what?
Of the Cosmic Mask and Nick Smith Films. How you doing there, Nick? Welcome.
I can't believe you're saying there's life outside of Doctor Who. Every day is Doctor Who.
I know.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying this, and just to let people know, this conversation started because we started talking to each other about, what are you watching? I don't know. What are you watching? What are you watching? And then all of a sudden it's like, why are we making an episode? And then here we go. And everybody jumped in and said, oh yeah, now we're going to have enough people on the team that we're making this a 2-part episode. Hello, Roger. Everyone, 2 more months to go. Yep, definitely out there. How you doing, Nick?
Good afternoon, Roger. I'm doing good. Yeah, I've been putting together a review of Robot of all things, the Tom Baker story for the next Doctor Who Appreciation Society annual. So that's been, my head's been full of Robot, which has been a strange situation to be in. So it's good to get out of that and think about other shows.
And don't forget to check out the Cosmic Mask. Dave and I have put some articles in there. Nick keeps nudging me to put a new article in. I keep forgetting. He knows I'm great. Yeah, I know. He knows I'm crazy busy. Speaking of crazy busy, down the line, here he is, the return of Nico Action. Nico from X is for Show. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Man, I love the TARDIS background, dude. I like it.
Well, this was made for, I mean, I shan't move my arms, shan't move much, but this wonderful background was made for me by the incredible Kevo, one of my wonderful show partners, life partners, everything partners over on X's for Show, where we just did a Doctor Who episode a couple of weeks ago that we had so much fun with, and a whole bunch of the TLTT folks came out and were like, hey. And so I just felt it was time for me to make my triumphant return and talk about the same, 10 things I love talking about.
Absolutely. And now don't worry, folks, because Kevo is going to be on next week's show. So we split up the X is for Show team. Speaking of splitting it up, he knows he's coming on. So I'm going to bring him on to him. I want to welcome for the first time here on the show, TK. How you doing, my friend, for X?
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad, my friend. Tell us a little bit about yourself so people know what you do out there, my friend. For people who might not be watching X's for Show.
Yeah, I am a co-host of X's for Show, talking about comics, games, TV, media. I am a reformed media studies teacher and student, and just basically anything even slightly geeky I will talk about ad nauseum.
Gotcha. Well, welcome, TK. Thank you for bringing up 1/3 of the show for X is for Show. Don't forget to check him out over there. You can see the tagline in there. X is for Show. You guys talk about everything comics, geekdom, everything, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of a man who talks about everything, he does his show every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There is Mr. James Enstell from Geek to Me Radio. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
I need to take a deep breath. Not bad there, sir. As you can check out, also X is for Show, Geek to Me Radio, the rathole.ca. You can check them out on the YouTube channel, Geek to Me Radio. Thank you for coming back there, James. It's been a while,
Thanks
dude. I know Pensacon's just around the corner. It was just a while ago for us.
Oh, feels like we were just there.
We were just there, and now we're going to be going back possibly. So.
Looking forward to it. That's always a great show.
It is an awesome out there show out there. And again, check out James. He goes live on his terrestrial, but you can catch him on the YouTube channel and actually chat with him on Geek to Me Radio at 10 p.m. Sunday nights, Eastern Standard there. And I saved her best. She is definitely not the least. We're bringing in the lovely Song Swan cosplay, better known as Jessica. How you doing, Jessica Womack? It's
Hello.
been a while, girl. Where have you been?
I know. Life is lifing, you know?
I know. Life gets busy out here.
Yeah, but I'm back and I'm excited to be back because it's been a little hiatus. I see. My whole thing is Doctor Who's taking a hiatus. Why can't I? I'm kidding.
Hmm.
No, I'm excited.
You have to come back as Ncuti Gatwa then. That's the only way it's going to work.
Hold on, let me regenerate. Let me just figure that.
No, I don't want you to fall or trip over. Luckily, you probably. What was that thing that happened? You had that curtain that fell or something like that. That was there. Yeah, you were. Oh, yeah, you remember that, right?
Yeah, the cat brought out because I was like, oh, let me have a cool background, and the cat somehow took it and it covered my face. And,
Was that during the foodie episode, or was it just a random episode that we had out there?
It was some random episode.
It was,
When I was on.
Hey, Faith. Yeah. Faith knows too well. What happened is, I might as well put it out there. For those of you who are not familiar with this, anytime you see a little feline running around one of our cameras, yes, the Traveling TARDIS catalog goes up. But Jessica's referring to an episode that we had. She had a big curtain blocking out the back. All of a sudden, it collapsed. It was like, poor girl.
And I was like, what happened? I'm like, it's my cat. And then the cat comes in and I'm like, thanks.
What was that, Nick?
That was Mr. Whiskers.
Serious?
Yeah, he's keeping me company.
God, yeah. Oh, now that's just cheating. I'll let it pass.
All right, keep you on your toes.
Keep me on my toes out there. And Jess, there you go. Jess, just check do a mic check. And Rahul says, "Don't worry, Christian. You sort of have something in the upcoming issue of Cosmic Mass." Do I?
Yeah.
What is that?
Surprise!
It's a nice delay out there. Now, again, for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going over outside the Whoniverse, reviewing some stuff that we are probably just playing around with, just giving you suggestions of other shows and stuff that you could be checking out. Of course, you can always watch Classic Who. You can watch everything all the way up from William Hartnell to Jodie Whittaker, and just review the stuff that's going to be coming up down the pipeline. And always keep an eye on the YouTube channels, because we've got plenty of folks who are going to be doing spoilers and stuff of that nature out there, letting you know. But we are keeping an eye out on things to see when the next 3 episodes of the 60th anniversary going to be premiering. We know it's going to be around sometime in November. It's got to be around the 60th anniversary, but we still haven't really gotten anything. If they're going to be like weeks behind each other, if they're going to be the same night, if they're just going to be consistently of days of each other, we don't know. But we are going to be announcing that once we get the announcement from the BBC out there. So Ramona says, "Hi, Tom. YouTube has a comment speed bump now. Can't comment for... Oh, my goodness. Why? What did you do? Ramona?" Yeah, I had to wait 35 seconds. Slow mode on? There's a slow mode on. Patience is so Roger. Okay. So I guess we have a slow mode on. I guess I saw something of that nature, but I don't want to say I was ignoring it. I don't know what that means, but there was something about a slow mo coming up. So if you're having issues with the chats, they're probably going to be coming up shortly, and Dave's going to be taking care of your chats as well. So without further ado, let's see if we go roundabout out here. And of course, I'm going to be last for my shows. So I guess ladies first. So Jessica, we're bringing you up over here. What are the shows that you like to go over and watch, or what do you, and it doesn't have to be something, it might be something you're just getting into just to see, stuff or movies that you saw that are coming up down the pipe that people might be interested in watching while they're waiting for the 60th.
Yeah. Well, with that description, the first thing that pops in my head is Father Brown. I was binging that guy. And I love it so much. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it's Mr. Pond, of course.
It is Mr. Pond.
Mr. Pond. And
now, for people who may not be familiar with Father Brown, what is that show about? Just a brief synopsis.
Yeah, it is so Mr. Pond is a father. He's Father Brown, and mysteries pop up around their small little town, and he tends to actually function almost like a detective.
Priest punk detective is such a classic trope at this point. Like,
it really is. It's so cute. and he's adorable doing it. And it's like he's so clever, and he almost uses his clergy-ness to kind of get into places he shouldn't have access to. And it's funny, it's lighthearted, it makes you think a little bit, and then it's just like it's a lovely little BBC show. So
Is it like British Father Dowling Mysteries?
Wait a minute, I was about to say that. Didn't Bosley or the guy from Happy Days have
I love that it's like Bosley, like you're on a I know a Bosley. I love that for you. That's part of my headcanon for you now. I love that. And back with me and Hanks and Bosley.
So we got Father Brown up there, alrighty. But I just wanted to know if that was similar to, because I knew the show. No wheel to pick who talks this week. No, I'm going in order now. I should bring the wheel back, but it was torturous on my Wi-Fi. So Tasty Cakes wheel. Tell us a lesson we should learn out there. What else are you watching out there, Jessica?
Well, I mean, if anyone knows me, they know I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So I am catching weekly, the Ahsoka show.
Yay!
Queen.
Yeah. So I am catching those as they're coming out every Tuesday. So actually tonight's Tano Tuesday, which is now TARDIS Tuesday, which I love. So yeah, so we're only, I guess, 4 episodes in, so we're at the midway point for that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that one's just developing, but our good old boy David Tennant's in it. So once again, your Whovian fix if you're wanting to catch Ahsoka. And he's in like every episode so far, so
when all you provide is a voice, it makes it real easy to get that screen time.
Yeah, right? He's just a voice. You don't get to see his face because he is playing a droid. Spoilers. But, yeah.
He's the sassiest droid in a long time, though.
So sassy.
Yeah. He's sassy, but at the same time, he's not sassy because he's just stating facts.
Yeah, he's right.
and I think that's what makes it so funny, is it's just like, no, this is just a fact. And everyone's like, that's rude. And he's like, no, it's a fact.
I think
the problem is, so
correct sass. We can just call it, he's just tenanting. You know what I mean? It's just correct sass.
He's just being David. But yeah, he did
just
provide
made
that
him
voice.
a verb.
Yeah.
I am tenanting. Nice.
But if you didn't know, he did provide that voice in the animated show of Clone Wars. There's the cat. Way back in the day. And so they brought him back to be the voice of this same droid in the current show that's coming out. So yeah, that one's a good fun one. So once again, like the other one's the British humor. Sorry, my cat's playing.
Can't broke it.
So yeah, with Father Brown, I'm getting my British humor fix, and then with Ahsoka, I'm getting my David Tennant fix. So just doing all the fun things. Oh, and like I'm also watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Hell yes.
Watch that one. It's a really good one. Binge that one.
Binge it to pieces. Binge it apart.
So good.
It's my escapism show because I really was a Jake Peralta in transition at that point. Like I really did kind of start in the very Jimmy Brogan kind of place, but by the end, I really do feel like I am in fact capable of leaving behind dreams that had defined me to find a better dream. And like I just always think that it's number one, it requires accepting that it requires a surrender into a morality play set against some tropes that you might not expect. But once you get into that mindset that it's not really a statement on the police, but rather a hyper illusion version of the police, kind of the way Sting ever should have used a Jamaican accent, that level of illusion for police. It really is just such a tremendous ride of learning to love yourself, and in that regard, learning to love others.
The whole gist of it, of the fact that it's masked as this like comedy, it's like The Office, but it's cops, and it's so funny and lighthearted, but it's not. There's so many depths and layers.
So much growing, so much power.
Yes.
Totally.
So
totally.
It's beautiful. So if you're wanting escapism, it does that. But if you're wanting something with a lot of heart and a lot of growth with the characters and which I'm sure is a lot of the things that makes us fall in love with Doctor Who. It has that, but it's very much hidden behind all these layers of like, we're being silly and we're an American sitcom type thing. And it's like, no, there's more stuff going on there, buddy. I think that's a very good analysis. I love it.
Girl, you must rate for Zagats because you got great taste.
Oh, thanks.
Speaking of tropes you weren't expecting, yep, we're on a commercial break. When we return, that's how I roll. Anyway, when we return, we're going to continue on with our panel and your discussions over there. Oh, sorry, Dave, bring that back. The last one.
That was good.
Andrew's one. Father Brown is a comfort watch set in the 50s and based on the book from the 1920s, predating the Father Dowling mysteries. Okay, cool. So they're one and the same.
OG.
Dowling was for the American audience. All right. Well, we'll come back when we return. We're going to continue our discussions. Don't forget to get in your chats. Tell us what you're watching. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in. We'll be right back.
We are a touring acoustic duo crashing kitchens around the country. We go from house to house every Friday night and we create music, we create food, a good time, we stream it live and we do it for free. So now we're just really kind of like trying to develop it and build a community group that people believe in, then they'll help us. So we played from our rehearsal room, we played from the bathroom, thankfully that didn't catch on.
I probably played guitar in my room, not for anyone, in front of anyone, nobody heard, for probably about 10 years.
And then one Friday night we played from the kitchen. It's the main place people want to be. It's where the food is, it's where the drink is, it's where the best lighting is. You can go to any party and I guarantee you, the kitchen is going to be popping.
Our ultimate goal, I think, would be to crash kitchens every Friday all around the world.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
Jake Collins has been launched into the stratosphere by the popular social media app Yin Yang.
I just think it's incredible that someone from our hometown we knew so well.
That's my holy grail.
You are the closest thing this town has to a hero.
I'm still just Jake.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
Welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil, and today's episode, joining us, we're talking about shows outside the universe, movies and shows that we are consuming on our 60th anniversary and the premiere of Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor. My name is Christian Basil, and don't forget, we are celebrating birthdays throughout the year. We want to say especially a warm welcome, happy birthday to Kai Owen, better known as Risse Williams from Torchwood. He turned 47. I hate him. He turned 47 as of September 4th, and joining him on there, this very familiar gentleman. And if you ever meet this guy, he is completely sweet. He is nothing like he's in the movies. Mr. Michael Berryman, who I was honored to have him with a picture of the Traveling TARDIS. He also had a birthday on the 4th of September, and he is 75 years old. My goodness. Keep it rocking, my friend, especially coming into the months of the horror season. That's all you, my friend. But I truly say, if you have the privilege of meeting Michael Berryman, do it. He is the sweetest guy out there. And you hear some people talk about the sweetest guy. He's it. He's one of those guys out there. He'll talk your ear off, and he is just the sweetest gentleman out there. And then I'll cut your neck off.
I just wanted to pop in. I was trying to figure out what's going on with this speed bump thing on YouTube. I don't see it because my account is an admin, so I just automatically, I assume, don't get speed bumped. But I'm having a hard time finding it, so I'm sorry if you are commenting on YouTube and hitting that speed bump and having your comments delayed. We'll take a look to see if we can't figure out what the heck's going on after the show, but it is not something I can fix during the show.
Yeah, Dave and I will be checking it out. I know that something came up as an option during YouTube. It was something brand new, so we'll take a look at it, and hopefully it won't repeat itself again out there. Speaking of which, welcome back. We have Mr. Nick Smith of the Cosmic Mask. We have Nico and TK from X is for Show. We have James Insall from Geek to Me Radio, and we have Jess from Song Swan Cosplay. Jess was up, and without further ado, I'm just going down the line of StreamYard, so whoever happens to be next in line will be it. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're bringing in Mr. Nick Smith. He is next.
Hello
That's why
there.
I'm not using the wheel.
I feel like
doesn't need so much memory out there.
Okay, so
Yeah,
yes,
so Nick,
I
what
have
you
put
been
it upon myself to do the Sisyphean task of watching all the CW DC shows since the beginning of time. It's been about 13 years we've been watching the Arrowverse, partly because I have fond memories of watching it with friends and family, but also it's just fun seeing all the comic book characters from my childhood onwards, getting a new life and being shown for a new audience. So I just finished Superman and Lois, which has just been getting better and better. Season 3, these characters have been around for 3 years, and the actors have really got their A game on. It's a beautiful story that they tell, very real world. One of the characters gets sick, and they have to deal with that. And they put the superhero stuff a little bit to the side, but it's still Superman. And I just thought it was very touching and very, just better than I expected. Also, that not a lot of people know this, but there's this show called Pennyworth about Alfred when he was young. And I put that at the bottom of my list. I don't want to see some butler running around, but I'm glad I am watching it. It is wonderful. That one just keeps improving as well.
Hey, if they give Sean Pertwee his own series, I'm watching the hell out of them.
Yes. You've got Jack Bannon, and he's doing a young Sean Pertwee and also a young Michael Caine, kind of a combination, but he's making it his own, thank goodness. Two of my favorite movies are those old Michael Caine movies, The Italian Job, Get Carter, that kind of vibe. That's what they're going for. There's lots of surprising violence. It's very British. They have a civil war going on in England in this alternate comic book 60s version of England. So I just thought that was really cool and a nice surprise. So I've been watching that. And we get a lot of British actors popping up. James Purefoy just popped up, who's best known for Rome. I worked with him back in the 1900s. So we're on a movie called Women Talking Dirty with Helena Bonham Carter. So I'm like, hey, it's Jimmy Boy. I like this. So yeah, I think they've wrapped that up. They're finishing. They finished 3 seasons. I hear that Superman and Lois is going to do 1 more, but then Greg Berlanti, he's been shown the door. James Gunn has taken over, the kind of direction of DC. So we're going to see a whole new world. We're saying goodbye to the Arrowverse. I just hope that they wrap up some of these dang cliffhangers.
I will say that the WB has specifically said that it's actually up to them if.
I heard something similar. Yeah.
Oh, your mic cut off.
There you go.
Oh. It
Can
went
you hear
out
me?
for completely. Yeah.
Are we there now? We good?
Yeah. Try it again.
Terrific.
Tell us,
So,
Nico. Tell us.
the WB has been saying that the CW, geez, the WB, the CW has been saying it's their decision on whether or not there's a 5th season, and it's really just on Lois and Superman, Superman and Lois, whatever anymore, getting the ratings and the streams and the talking online and the X word, or I don't know how to pronounce what that website is called anymore. But you have to go on those social sites and like talk about it. So if you watch it and you like it and you want to make sure Tyler Hoechlin keeps getting all of the protein powder he needs to stay that big, you got to start typing about it on the interwebs.
Tyler Hoechlin he's Superman. He's perfect for that role, for the size of a TV frame. He's great. He's been wonderful since he started in Supergirl. And just to watch these actors grow and develop. Elizabeth Tulloch, who plays Lois, she's just improved as she went on. When she first popped up, I'm like, no, that's not Lois Lane. But now she's Lois Lane. So they grew on me. Also, there's an animated show called My Adventures with Superman. It starts off as a kind of, it's very anime style, very sweet, great for kids who don't know much about Superman. But then it's as if Zack Snyder kind of came in with a power drill and kind of added some dark bits and started threatening people and adding violence. So it starts off very sweet with no lore. And then by the end of the series, we've got lots of lore. But actually, they do play around with things. They twist things around. And it's just so much fun. So if you haven't seen that one, I would definitely check it out. Had a blast.
Gotcha. Out there. Go. And without further ado, rotating around the wheel of non-existence. So I'm just going in order. Speaking of which, Nico, you're up. You're binge watching.
We just had to switch a letter.
I'm literally doing in order of StreamYard. We used to have the wheel of names.
No, I understand. What I'm hearing is I'm third favorite, and I'm okay with that. I'm very comfortable with that.
Bill has favorite in the title.
All I'm saying is Nico's not here right now. So there you go.
And you're up first of the extra show.
So here's number one. I just discovered a show like 2 days ago or 3 days ago now, and I just need to say that if I had the foresight, I would have definitely put One Piece way up on my list. But if what we're talking about is shows that have been like marathoning, like a chunk that's got me thinking. Number one, I'm giving Star Trek Voyager a chance for a change. I've always kind of thought of it as that other one. Oh, hey, Next Gen. Hey, Next Gen. I love you, Next Gen. See, that was the one that I loved the most. And it's
sorry, I didn't have the Voyager one.
Oh, no, hey, I will take any opportunity to check out one of the best casts in sci-fi history, right? But I never really gave Voyager a shot, and Kevo, my incredible partner, was like, "Hey, we gotta watch some Star Trek. You got me into it. I want to watch all of it." And so we got to Voyager, and I'm having such a great time with it. It's really pushing what I think about sci-fi in some really unique ways, and you can see sort of the ways that it learned from classic Who. Doctor Who then learned from it, and you can see the ways it would learn from modern Who that are really cool. And the other thing that I've been binging at what you might refer to as a concerning rate is I've watched like as many seasons of Drag Race as I can humanly devour. Number one, hey Mama Roo. Number one, I'm queer, so it's like a credit card for me. I just go into other queer spaces and I go Drag Race, and I just kind of like swipe for gay credit. But the other thing about it is that I quite seriously love making musical theater so much that I do it like professionally, and I've had the opportunity to write for a number of queens and arrange for a number of queens. And I had the opportunity to arrange for Demanda Martini when she performed at DC Pride at a soccer game before the team took the field. All kinds of stuff has really brought me to appreciating live performance more than ever post-COVID. And it's really hard to get really strong live performance with the way the live performance industry fell apart. And how I get to justify talking about it here is none other than two-time winner Jinx Monsoon is going to find herself in the world of Doctor Who in the next series. So, when you're talking about one of the only people to win 2 series of this competition being so influential on at least one of the creators, that she's becoming a part of the Doctor Who universe, you kind of have to take a step back and say this show has had impact even in places you never would have imagined. And if you had asked me when I started season 5, yes, I could have told you Jinx Monsoon is an alien.
And Roger, I have you covered. Since Nico mentioned Star Trek, I had the original series on standby as well. So,
okay, wait. Can I just at Mark Robinson for a second? Can we at Mark Robinson? Okay. Is One Piece live action any good, and is it on par with the anime? I honestly can't communicate about it being on par with the anime. You'd have to talk to my amazing partner TK. He has that information. But One Piece, the show, I rarely fall that in love with something that quickly. I mean, it's like, I don't know, Cute Boys and Tori Amos. Like, very few things grab my attention that hard. Within 1 minute, I thought it was one of the most engaging things I'd ever seen. Within 10 minutes, I thought it was a fascinating universe. The stylization, the careful attention to direction, and the attempt to create something that visually represents a different form of media really, if nothing else, make it watchable. And I just can't speak to if it's as good as the original. I'm not here to say, oh, everybody should go watch the US Doctor. You know what I mean? I'm not making that mistake, but I am saying that it is definitely 8 episodes that had me emotionally riveted.
Oh, there you go. Next up on our wheel is Mr. James Engstall from Geek to Me Radio. You are up, sir. What are you geeking out about while we're waiting for the Doctor?
A little bit of old stuff, a little bit of new stuff, because I'll go back and watch retro stuff. Amazon Prime has a huge slew of older shows. I've been kind of going back and, oh, this is on there, this is on there. So one of the ones I started going back and rewatching, because I have vague memories of it from when I was a kid, but I'm watching Remington Steele, which basically launched Pierce Brosnan's career. And it's got a lot of Doctor Who actors been showing up. But we had David Warner was a bad guy in one episode. Obviously, Tom Baker, the 4th Doctor, played Blaylock in a episode as well. I think season 2 or 3 of that one. But I've been going back and rewatching, and it's one of those rare shows from the 80s that actually holds up well as a police procedural. If you go back and watch something like Knight Rider, my car now basically does everything Kit did except for the turbo boost. But this show actually it stands up pretty well. Stephanie Zimbalist, was that?
It depends on the chop shop too.
That's true. Yeah, you could get that installed for a little extra. But Stephanie Zimbalist is, for those who don't know the series, she opened her own detective agency. No one would come to see a woman PI, so she invented a male superior as the head of the agency, Remington Steele. Pierce Brosnan's a grifter, for lack of a better word, who comes through looking to steal these specialized stones, and he ends up assuming the identity of Remington Steele, and he falls in love with playing detective and falls in love with Stephanie Zimbalist's character, Laura Holt, and so he becomes Remington Steele. But it's a really good interplay of she is her own woman, she's in charge of the agency, she's obviously the seasoned detective, and he's kind of learning from her, but his street savvy with her detective skills makes for a very interesting combination, a lot of cool storylines as it goes through for 5 seasons before he became James Bond.
And I just remember the outcry of him being the next James Bond. Everybody wanted him to be James Bond, but because he was committed to Remington Steele, he could not do it for quite some time. So he was kind of stuck with that, and then he finally got to the role.
He actually signed on to be James Bond, but then the producer of the show opted, hey, we're going to do a 5th season after all. So because he was contractually obligated, he had to bow out, hence the reason we got Timothy Dalton. I wonder what the Living Daylights would have looked like with Pierce Brosnan instead of Timothy Dalton in that one.
I like him as James Bond. I don't like his stories, though, as James Bond.
Timothy Dalton or Pierce Brosnan?
Pierce Brosnan. I like him as James Bond. I don't like his stories, though. His stories are just a little...
He had a couple. 2 out of 4 weren't bad. I liked the first 2.
Yeah, GoldenEye and...
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, what was the one with the invisible car?
That was Die Another Day, and there were several problematic things with that. From Madonna's theme song, which I like Madonna. We're just talking about the other day, my top 5 favorite Madonna songs, but that's one of my least favorite James Bond theme songs for all.
Bless you and all of the wisdom you just put into it. And it's like, look, like I just came out and said, Mama Roo. So like I'm here to be as gay as humanly possible. There is nothing wrong with that as a Madonna song. But Madonna coming in with that post-Evita vocal coach nonsense, doing that, you think that is what old British men are going to the cinema for? Madonna doing Krav Maga, squeaking out over William Orbit's reused beats. Yeah. That was a weird choice for a Bond theme, my friends. That was. I would agree. But again, now if you ask me from the other side of it, what a great single. Madonna sounds so good on it. Those post-Evita vocal coach moments where she's getting up to those high notes. She sounds great on those William Orbit beats.
I don't even think it's a good sing. I think you are way overselling it as a single.
Please remove him. Please remove him.
I do think the most unsung and unloved song is World Is Not Enough. Because Shirley
Garbage. Oh my gosh, that's a great theme song. I will agree. Garbage did a fantastic
really
job.
Is.
Giving us
a great music video too. Shirley Manson is an android getting a bomb put in her butt. It's so good.
But also Tina Turner coming in and doing that sexy Shirley Bassey.
Oh man, that's also that's a killer.
Yes, I'm dead. Okay, thank you so much, Christian. That was very humanizing. Thank you.
I was going to let you two go for the next 20 minutes.
We would too. Don't let us.
James Bond talk. We'll be discussing James Bond theme songs.
Yes, please.
I think I'm in a minority because for the longest time I grew up Roger Moore. I was on the starter end of Roger Moore right when Sean Connery left, and A View to a Kill was always my song for the longest time. And I guess when I got older, I wouldn't say I ditched it. It's still one of my favorite, the James Bond song. But Gladys Knight's A License to Kill. My God, that was I was like, God.
Well, now I really feel like Nico and TK need to join me on my show so we can just discuss and rate the James Bond theme songs at some point. So
done and done. Except you have to let me unofficially include Bjork's cover of You Only Live Twice.
I was literally about to go na 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 na. Like literally, that's why my hands went up.
I don't know if I've heard that. I'll have to find that cover and do it.
It's
so amazing.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
To Roger in the comments, I wouldn't count Pierce's singing in Mamma Mia as singing.
Mixed reviews.
Well, there's a thing called a patter song, and you give a patter song to a person who can't sing, who wants to be in the show. And do you know what Blarg and Florish and Flock and Lars and Florben do? Because I don't know their real names, guys. You can make fun of my name as all you want. You're billionaires. You're an ABBA. But do you know what those guys didn't have in ABBA? It was people who were just really pretty and couldn't sing. They didn't have that. ABBA had really talented singers. Yes. So when you go, let me adapt an ABBA song for someone who is well-intentioned with the vocal range of a plank, it doesn't,
Well, and that was my issue with them having Wolverine, who can sing, singing out of his range.
It's so out of his range.
No, he's so good. He's an amazing vocalist. Like, his voice is amazing. What was that movie? Les Mis. Everyone's like, oh, well, Wolverine can't sing. And I'm like, no, he can. He's range.
Check out his Boy from Oz, where he's I'm a homosexual between the moon and New York City. Peter Allen. He's Peter Allen.
Or Hugh Jackman.
No, I'm saying where Hugh Jackman is Peter.
That was the joke.
I kept calling him Wolverine because I couldn't think of his name. Oh, I was so excited. I was like, Wolverine, Wolverine.
That guy.
That guy. Him singing Oklahoma. If anyone has not seen him singing Oklahoma on YouTube,
that is such a classic video from in his career.
If you aren't in love with him now, you'll fall in love with his voice. It's beautiful. But yeah, I digress.
I believe you upgressed, whatever that is. However you upgress.
Yeah. Talking about Wolverine's voice. because I couldn't remember Hugh Jackman's name.
Bub.
So yes, to bring that full circle, I'm really enjoying.
Anyway, we're back.
Remington
Let me get back to the chats here.
Now we're
It
finding
is,
out why
in
I've
case-
really not been on the show. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. It's so
Like, oh
quiet.
gosh,
Anyway,
here she
yeah, it is. Oh, and in case I missed the discussion, my most recent watches have been Good Omens, season 2,
Woo!
Sobs. Is it out already?
Is
Oh yeah.
I thought it was still. Oh, okay.
Yep, it's donezo.
Rewatch of Gravity Falls and Dimension 20 on Dropout. I'm not exactly sure what that is. What is Dimension 20?
Dropout
It's
is
a-
an amazing streaming game show network.
Well, it's more than just game shows, but Dimension 20 specifically is live role playing with like semi in and out of character. So, and it's great. It's great improvisers and role players. So like it's great production values. They also do. They just did one called Dungeons and Drag Queens, which with a bunch of the girls from Drag Race doing a campaign, which is really fun and also well worth a watch.
If you love stuff that's like really surprising, you should Google Monet Exchange Opera. If you're a musical theater nerd, that's
That was my
Shut up! I love that. I don't mean to give you approval that you don't need from me, but I wish to share it. I saw the phrase "Gravity Falls," which anybody here who's like, I'm a Twin Peaks person, it needs to be Twin Peaks smart, or it should get off my television, like I am. Go watch Gravity Falls because it is a cartoon that is basically Twin Peaks. It's really excellent, and Grunkle Stan is the coolest lead ever. So
It doesn't have the cocaine or sex, but
it also doesn't have anybody getting turned into a doorknob. So
that's close.
And James, I'm with you. Right, there are things that bring me to a TV show, but I'm telling you, Gravity Falls has everything you need. It's a remarkable attempt to make and like just like Doctor Who influenced sort of product. Like I think about the ways that TV is different from having said, like I was watching Voyager earlier. Like it is very different now. TV is completely different, and it's in so many ways thanks to the progressive storytelling and like Doctor Who not fitting into American TV molds and telling 10-episode stories. And you can see the ways that something like Twin Peaks might have influenced Doctor Who up front, but Gravity Falls is better for being in a Doctor Who universe. And like it's a really cool reciprocity.
All right, cool.
Damn good pie.
Damn good segue. Well, anyway, might as well. Speaking of segues, here we go. We're going commercial break. When we return, we will continue our discussion with our panelists about their favorite shows and your favorite shows and TV shows that you might be geeking out. I saw your comment, Roger, earlier. Yeah, there's going to be a lot, and especially when we get to my stuff, I have a few in there that I've been geeking out too. When we return, we're going to go. We did save them last, but not least. God dang it! There we go. TK will give us his take on it. I can't even. I can't even. All right, let's go to commercial break before I have a meltdown. Here we go. Thanks.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pometry, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
During all of October, starting October 1st through the 31st, we're going to begin the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS's 31 Days of Halloween. That means we've got pictures, music videos, things from the past, and things from the future. That's going to be Halloween-related and Doctor Who, and plus we're going to have special episodes of the most scariest moments, what we're going to be talking about here throughout the entire month of October. Again, that starts October 1st, the 31 Days of Halloween on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do this right now, or just wait until after the show to do it. But we're going to be having it all October. And plus, we are going to be welcoming back. We're still talking with the team to see what Tuesday they're going to be doing it. But Phantasmagoria will be doing a special premiere episode that's going to be somehow linked to Doctor Who. And if you've ever seen Phantasmagoria perform for us, please, by all means, we do have, you can stream it yourself. Check out Phantasmagoria. They've done quite a few Halloween episodes for us. It's their special show that they do every year with a Doctor Who twist. And at one point, they did a Christmas special, which we were very excited. So we can't wait for them to come back over here. And speaking of which, well, you know what? Let me not talk about it. Let me show you a preview of Halloween Horror Nights over at Universal Studios. Now, I got to say, this has nothing to do with Universal or Comcast, but every year, everybody who is loving Halloween and loves the TARDIS, you get to see the TARDIS in some really interesting... Let me show you the preview. Videos and pictures. You'll see little traveling TARDIS, little boy Blue, on his adventures during Halloween Horror Nights, which will be taking place all month of September. We should be coming out with the TARDIS every weekend. It's not affiliated with Comcast or Universal, so if you just happen to see me or the TARDIS taking a picture, you're more than welcome to just come up to me and say, "Hey, Christian, I want a picture of the TARDIS," and we'll get you in one of those little scary areas. But we want to welcome back our team: Nick Smith, Nico, and TK from X's for Show, Nick Smith from the Cosmic Mask, Jess, who has returned to us at Song Swan Cosplay on the Instagram, and all the way in the corner at the other side is Geek to Me Radio on the YouTube.com, and our friend who's going to be taking care of the chats, who's off stage right now, is Dave from the rathole.ca. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all of our affiliations. There he is. Or he was. So without further ado, we saved him last, but definitely not the least. TK from X's for Show. What are you binging, my friend?
One of the big ones I've been binging post Doctor Who to like get my reincarnated hero fix has been Avatar and The Legend of Korra. Both of which I've seen a billion times, but I don't care. I love, because I've also watched every episode of Doctor Who a billion times. So, I love these these teams each generation, and I love all of the other avatars, and this is such a great series. It makes me smile.
What do you like about it? I've heard about this a lot, and I'm not a big fan, but somebody's coming in looking in peripherally, and especially I know about the bad taste that M. Night Shyamalan gave for the movie. What is this for somebody who's coming out peripherally? What would you describe somebody like me what this series is about?
It is about a world unlike ours in many ways, but like ours in so many others, that is divided into 4 nations, each of which is basically powered by an element. The citizens that can control the element are called benders, and benders sort of drive the power of the nations. And 100 years ago, the Fire Nation basically attempted to take over the world, and the Avatar, who is a being who can control all 4 of the elements, regardless of what nation the Avatar is born into, who's supposed to be kind of a peacekeeper and a symbol for all. During the attack of the Fire Nation, the Avatar disappears. The show starts 100 years later when the Fire Nation has kind of fascist control over the world. And the Avatar is rediscovered, and he's a young boy who has not quite mastered his powers and taken on his full destiny. And it's kind of about how he has to come into his own against the backdrop of figuring out how to save the world from this fascist nation.
Gotcha. And about this series, The Legend of Korra.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the sequel series. This is the Avatar reincarnates, and each time they incarnate into a different person in a different nation. So Avatar Aang from the first series was an airbender, and Korra is a waterbender. So this is 70 years later, or 75 years later. Aang has passed on. Korra has grown up and become the Avatar. The world is very different, and like Aang, though, she assembles kind of a group of her friends and goes about doing the work of the Avatar and kind of uncovering the both political and spiritual mysteries of the world.
Okay, cool. I've been trying to get into anime, and as soon as I go into 5 seconds of it, I get out, and I don't know why.
So I will say with Avatar, the first season was finding its footing with the animation, and it very much feels more anime in the first half of the first season. Once you get past that, it stops. Even the artistic design changes to be less anime influenced. Yeah, and it's the heart of this show. It's masked as a kid's show. So once again, that first half of that first season is very much geared towards younger audiences. And as it progresses, it very much finds a much more mature undertone that you pick up, and and that's why it has such a large fan base, not just with younger audiences, but with adult audiences as well, because it deals with growing up with different parental situations that might not be positive, or others that had positive. And it also deals with disability. It deals with all these other elements that are very mature elements. And it's like, I think one of the biggest things that the main character in the first series goes through is like, how do I keep my core beliefs, but also maintain what everyone expects of me? And when they're at conflict. And that's an adult idea. And it does it in such a mature way, but it also speaks to both younger and older. So that's why you hear a lot of people rewatching it as adults, because they're getting something they didn't get when they were kids out of it. But if you watch it as a kid, you also get your own things out of it, of like, oh, I totally get this. So I would say, yes, it is very difficult to get into if you are not into anime. I would say it's absolutely worth kind of pushing through that first hump of them just kind of doing their one-off episodes, because they are, and it is a little bit rough if you're not anime learned. I would say this would be my first quote-unquote anime.
This is baby's first anime for sure.
Well, because it's American. It doesn't come from the same anime tradition, but they really were, America imported a lot of really cheap anime that they didn't dub or translate well, and they just gave it to kids because kids don't care. It's animated. They'll just watch it. And I think Nickelodeon kind of went in with that same ethos of like, just pump out the episodes. Don't worry about how it is. And the creators ultimately, once they really figured out what they had on their hands, they did really kind of move away from saying, let's just be cheap and throw it out there, and really made something complex. But yeah, I didn't watch it until I was in grad school. I think I must have been like 25 or 26. But it took me, I watched it with my partner, and he's somebody who will push through and I am not. And it really took him saying like, it's going to be on and you don't have to watch it with me, but I'm going to keep watching it through to the end. And I very much had that experience of like, boy, do I not like this, until about halfway through that first season. And then I was just completely in love. And, it's once you start to meet more of the other characters in the world and the world gets fleshed out, it's just so beautiful.
Well, and so much of it is because it's a reconciliation of myth arc and modern society.
Yes.
Right? So much of the show is about taking what we're culturally told to accept as the understanding of our world, and then what the world actually is. It's beautiful to think that virtue is a thing that cannot change, but that's such a short-sighted definition. And then the idea that there is generational guilt and there is generational weight is one of the huge things that plays into Korra. It's not just our long-forgotten forefathers' weight that holds us down. It's the weight of each generation that needs to then be worked through. And it's such a beautiful balance of these things. And kids don't understand that what they're gaining is the ability to understand, generational anxiety.
Yeah.
But what they're gaining is these tools in their, psychological toolbox that allow them to integrate these ideas into a successful life. And that's one of the things that Avatar is so special for, Jess. I completely agree. It really holds a unique place with so many generations for that reason.
Well, and I love that you use the word balance, because that's
everything in the Avatar.
That's it. It's about balance and finding that balance, whether it's the balance between yourself and society, or internal balance, and the balance of what is expected of me versus what, it's all about balance, and it's beautiful. And you use the term and I was like, balance. Yes.
Man, I should have my own Ember Island player squad. You guys want to be on it? I'm just saying.
Always.
Also,
and they came out with the D&D, the Avatar D&D.
Yeah.
Mark says, I've been watching anime since the 80s, such a
Gatchaman,
JP, G-Force, Battle of the Planets.
Yes.
Mark, my
All
first
really good
introduction,
ones.
if anybody wants to date me on this one, Voltron and All-Star Blazers.
Oh,
Christian.
yeah.
I'll take you out.
I just remember the All-Star Blazer ship getting the
Thank you, Nick.
crap getting kicked out of it every episode or something like that. They kept fixing it. I think they started every episode with bang, 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 bang. They were fixing the ship on something. But
we can name Voltron. St. Louis. That's St. Louis anime right there with the Koppler family. How they kind of brought that over, and they're the ones who did all the dubbing and everything like that, and kind of pushed that into syndication. So we got a giant Voltron statue in St. Louis in the Loop.
Oh, that's so cool.
If we can talk about bad make, because I was like, this is baby's first anime, and it's American, so it's not truly anime. If anybody here was a Power Rangers, VR Troopers, imported, reused, Japanese Sentai footage person, at some point you scrolled across the USA Network's tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills.
Yep.
And it's the only show I can think of where the kids gain their superpowers by crawling into an oven. And it is, that is an example. Yeah, that's how they get to their command center. They own a pizza shop, and they have to crawl into. It was absurd, and and I always think that in Battlestar Galactica, that should get a BSG level remake.
I agree.
Right? Oh my god,
that and Mystic Knights of Tir Nanog.
Let me go ahead and bring, guys. I don't mean to cut you off, but we're just going to go into the after party. We'll continue this on. But let me go ahead and do the after party real fast, because I know you guys got a lot to talk about. I haven't even told my stuff, and I'll get to my stuff in the after party as well out there. For those of you Again, if you're listening to us, this might cut off. So if you want to continue your journey and listening to what's going on, probably for another 3 hours at this point, we will probably be talking about it on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, facebook.com/The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, 71,000, and we are climbing halfway up to the big 72,000. I would love to be at 75 by the end of this year. I'd like to be up to 1 million, but I'm a selfish prat, so that's just me out there. And right now, don't forget to subscribe, youtube.com/The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Over 3,300 people have subscribed.
Well, I think you're a selfish Hemsworth.
Chris or Liam?
It's selfish Pratt, so we're running Chris's.
Oh, okay. That works for me. And if you like to listen to our audios, iHeartRadio, sci-fi.radio, download the app for free, Odyssey, Spotify, Spreaker, Podbean, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, you can listen to us. But we're just going into the after party. This will only take a second. For those of you watching, please stay tuned. We're going to be talking more, and I'll give you my take on what I've been geeking out with, and we'll continue on because there were some honorable mentions that are in my arsenal, and we haven't gotten to them. So I'll bring those up in just a moment. So everybody stand by. Thank you for those of you listening. Everyone else, stick around because we will be right back after this little ditty. YouTube, everything runs smoothly on YouTube. And every time I hit the start show button, I see a commercial. And I thought it was funny that Jason Kinney was running an ad on our when it started out there. I don't know why. Roger says, I like Jodie Whittaker's dramatic one night show on Paramount aside from Ahsoka on Disney Plus and One Piece live action on Netflix, which looks like Pirates of the Caribbean on steroids. Okay. I'm interested in.
Tortuga.
I actually just want to adjust slightly. It's sort of like Pirates of the Caribbean with a couple of bangs and then like a Quaalude chaser. It's like steroids it just doesn't give you the it's manic and it's absurdist. And
I'd say it's like a micro dose of shrooms.
Ooh.
You know, just enough to make your world a little more fantastical.
Wait, Christian, though, I feel so bad. You let me talk way too much, and so that should never happen. And now I haven't gotten to hear your choices.
Oh, they're coming up, but I don't mind. One of the things I tell people on panels is just like, whenever I go to a panel, I say I usually value the first question, and if I'm the last person to speak at all, it's a good panel. So there you go. That's what I love there. Andrew, if you haven't already, check out Sex Ed. Like Roger said earlier, there's like a billion things to choose from. So here's my oddity. I'm not into the streaming services anymore. Paramount Plus, all those guys, I've kind of fallen from grace. YouTube has been my go-to because it's quicker to pull up on my phone to watch things in short spurts out there. So one of the things that I've become attracted to was, I think everybody knows this guy, Mr. Ballin. If anybody knows about, My Salute to Strange, Dark, and Mysterious Storytelling, I never thought I'd actually watch somebody just tell a story from a green screen and I would be hooked on it. But this guy, I just know him as Mr. Ballin. He's on the YouTube channel, and if you're into those dark and mysterious, especially now that the spooky time of year is coming up, he's very entertainment to watch. I think he used to be a former military guy, and he just turned YouTuber, and all of a sudden he just started reading stories of the strange and unusual, and he's just somebody I just stuck it off with. The next one that I've come across on YouTube is something called Riddle. And this is more of a science show, but I like the way that they present themselves because they ask the weird questions, like what if a needle struck the Earth at light speed? What would happen to the Earth? Just a small little needle. And they explain it in detail, just some really weird oddities. And they had a really interesting episode that really attracted me, which was the premise of the whole episode was about flat Earth. And that was the discussion. And the guy at the beginning goes, at the end of this episode, we're going to convince you that the Earth is flat. I'm like, oh my God. And I consider this a reputable science show. And the way that they approached it is that they went through the history of every scientist who ever thought that the Earth was flat. And basically, they went through the whole thing and debunked everybody, all the debunks that they came across out there. And they finally came to the good conclusion that I thought was interesting. They asked you the question, how do you know that the Earth's not flat? From where you're sitting right now, how do you know? Where did you get the information from? You got it from other people. Have you ever gone on a rocket and taken a look at from the Earth in space? So how do you know? And then they started going a little bit back into the past. Remember the time when people that thought the Earth was flat, the majority of the Earth. And there's a line from Men in Black that I really like. If you hear it, it really catches you off guard. But to hear it again, using that analogy, it's K sitting with J, and K is convincing J to join the Men in Black. And he asks them the question, why just not tell everybody what's going on? And he goes, a person is smart. People are dumb, a person smart, people are dumb, panicky, and dangerous, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody thought the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody thought the Earth was flat. So it really came to that conclusion. It's just like, if you saw it from a different perspective. I just thought, yes, I know the Earth is round. Shut up. Not even going to question that. But where did it come from? Where did those thoughts come from? And all it did was open my mind to other perspectives about that. But they had some really great things. They just basically asked the question about, they'll ask something like, what would happen if Jupiter was a planet or the sun was a planet? Some really interesting. It's Riddle, Riddle with 3 Ds. If you want to check it out, they have some really good stuff with it. There is something I'm binge watching. Oh, yet it is. Says, speaking of spooky content, Ghost Files by the folks at Watcher here on YouTube is an A+, along with brilliant show, Puppet History. They don't miss. I'll check that out. Thank you so much out there. The show.
I got to give a shout out to Ramona Schnitger for mentioning the SCP files. Christian,
I knew you were coming for it.
I love those.
If you're on YouTube, I was going to say there's so many different creators.
I love the SCP. I don't even play the game, and my God, I love listening to those stories of those bizarre things that they come up with.
Yeah, it's really, that's an incredible undertaking of shared universe creation.
And what is that called? It's Secure,
Contain, Protect.
Protect. If anybody has seen the game, you could see. Speaking of which, I might as well bring it on over here because it's another thing. And this guy actually got me through a rough patch years ago. I've been watching Markiplier. And he's just very entertaining to watch when he plays video games. I never thought I'd live to see where I'm watching other people play video games. But he's entertainment because of the way he reacts to when he's playing, especially the horror games and stuff like that. Probably heard of the guy, but I really like him. And like I said, he got me through some rough patches in life. But the series that I'm binge watching now, because I was just a big fan of the video game way back when, is Twisted Metal. But I have stopped because I'm not liking the direction it's going. I've always thought of Twisted Metal as being very dark and being very gore and dark and menacing. And it was made by you look at the titles, one of them is from the makers of Deadpool, and you can tell that Anthony Mackie, he's doing his best with Deadpool dialogue. And I saw the second episode. I really don't like what they did with Sweet Tooth. I've always thought of Sweet Tooth. Does anybody saying the game, or am I just talking to myself on this one?
No, I've played a lot of the game, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Sweet Tooth to me is what the fourth Batman movie was to Bane.
Beatrice?
Oof. It looks like her.
To me, Sweet Tooth.
Yes, Nico, that is who that is.
Sweet Tooth. Oh, I'm sorry. What are you guys talking about? I'm sorry.
She's the woman on the left is Stephanie Beatrice, who is one of the, I would say, 3 primary female leads on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And the voice of Mirabelle.
Yep.
And of course, Gloria's demented sister on Modern Family.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Great.
I just don't like what they're doing with Sweet Tooth because Sweet Tooth to me was Bane in Batman. And what they've done on the fourth with Batman and Robin with Bane is they dumbed him down and they made him like kind of this joke. And I'm thinking Sweet Tooth is supposed to be the ultimate villain in this game. And he's actually smarter than the way they're portraying him. That's why I was kind of upset. They made him into a laughingstock. So I'm going to try to push through with the series because I just like Twisted Metal. And I do like Anthony Mackie as being the protagonist in this movie. There's some interesting things, but I just really don't know. First thing when I see something like this, I'm like, did you guys even watch the video game, or you just wrote a script on things that you heard about from the video game? And the last thing I think, I just love Hugh Laurie.
Oh yeah,
and I've just
A
been
classic.
recycling through this. Yeah, classic. And I mean, this is one of those.
Medical Sherlock Holmes.
You know,
Yeah,
I
but
actually legitimately used to work in Princeton, and it's just so funny how they used certain buildings and said certain buildings were other buildings. And it's the kind of thing where I would drive by and I would be like, why lie? You use both exteriors. Why swap them? Why lie? Why lie? But no, also, I love those first 4 seasons. Kevo, if he's still in the comments section, will tell you, I literally hold all characters in the entire universe up to the standard of cutthroat bitch. And no, really, everybody on the planet, I hold up to the standard of cutthroat.
I just like.
She's perfect.
I just like the fact that if anybody who's seen House knows what the hell you're talking about. There
That's
we
her
go.
name.
I know Cutthroat B, right there. But I just Hugh Laurie, this was the role he was meant for. He's been in a billion roles beforehand, but he, and he played the character so well. But the thing is, the scripts were so wonderfully written because it did challenge the dynamic on all ends. It basically presented every ideology, any question about a topic, and they threw it on a platter and said, here you go, think for yourself. And those are the kind of things that I kind of miss in, kind of today. I haven't seen anything like this, but those are my stuff and go to. And of course, the last thing, I know I had a lot, but for the last thing I had, of course, that just makes my smile is Red Dwarf. The boys from
If
the
I could
Dwarf.
if I could jump back to House for 1 second, just to enhance your point.
Yeah, go ahead.
The other thing that House gives you, if you are kind of like a sci-fi person, is look, it's never actually this ridiculous. But like Lisa Edelstein is the woman in the upper left-hand corner. And anybody who knows anything about New York club kids scene, she was like literally like the last of the really famous New York club kids and LA club kids. And she wound up becoming an actress through projects like House and projects like The West Wing. And she's really famous for how dry and deadpan she is. So they always give her these lines, and it's always something along the lines of, House, are you telling me that this person has a baby shark growing in them, and the only person who can operate on them is a person who has a baby dolphin growing inside of them, and the dolphin and shark hate each other? And House is like, yes, and it's called sharkdophilitis. And like, it is never that sci-fi, but the places it goes are so beyond the scope of what we consider within foundational medicine that it actually really adds a layer to it. That if you're also a sci-fi person, House is a great escape.
It's a wonderful escape. Hugh Laurie, for crying out loud, Jesus, he's just a wonderful actor in my eyes, and can't do no wrong. And I grew up with him in Blackadder. I mean, to see him take on a comedic role in Blackadder and then move his way up. Or what is it? What's that rat movie? God, Michael J. Fox is the mouse.
Stuart Little.
Stuart Little, yeah. I mean, yeah, he's done like 100 movies beyond.
He's not in Ratatouille. I know my Ratatouille facts. I was like,
I'm sorry, I had to I wrote it right before I could say it. But yeah, I mean, he's always been the background actor. I've never seen him like take on the lead role. And then when he pulls off House, I'm like, Jesus. But yeah, Red Dwarf. I'm at every episode.
Christian, did you?
It's fun.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you end up seeing The Night Manager, Christian, on Amazon Prime? It's Tom Hiddleston's the lead, and House is the bad guy. It was so good as the villain.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, I just need to hunker down and say that. But there's just like, there's so much, as Roger mentioned, there's so much to binge out there, and some of it you just want to kind of, it's like a warm blanket sometimes to go back to and just relive like House and Red Dwarf. They're just nice. And there's some things that I just want to explore, like Twisted Metal, because there's some familiarity. I love the game. How do you treat the game? And it's just like, oh, please don't be another one of those. You're going to make the game, but you're going to do it in a way that it doesn't really stick to the original. And I understand people want to experiment and try stuff, but you got to remember there is an existing IP. And if you don't follow it, and I'm really worried that if I keep going, I'm not going to like what I see. And I already don't like what they're doing with Sweet Tooth. I think he's a big take on that lore, and I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to try to push through because I like Anthony Mackie as the role that he's playing. But you could tell that he's got a Deadpool script, because all of his lines are one-liners and funky lines, and hey, and it sounds like
I believe that's the whole problem. The strike is that there is no Deadpool script. It's just Ryan Reynolds the whole time. But unfortunately, I have run out of all of the ad-libs in my script, and I have to make my Mackie Wad dash. But I think you are all just the greatest crew in the world to house me. You're such beautiful people. I'm so grateful for getting this opportunity to hang out with just absolutely the coolest cats in the litter. And I want to thank you all for being so welcoming to my weird stuff. And you should come check us out, because so many of the amazing people here come and hang in our comments section. It's an absolute gift. And I want to thank you for sharing your folks with me and making me just feel like the heppest cat. A lot of cat metaphors. Get me away.
Go hang out with your dog, please.
Somewhere.
TK, we got a question for you. TK, why do you think live anime struggling doing live action? I have seen only good live. That is Alita Battle.
Alita
Battle Angel for some reasonable, such as a Kenshin, Ghost in Shell, Crying Freeman, but so many really bad live actions.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of factors. A big one is, almost every anime out there is a product of Japanese culture that gets imported to America as an animated product, and already with, translating and dubbing, we get the first level of, well, Americans won't understand that, so we're going to editorialize. When you go to do a movie, on top of saying Americans won't understand that, execs start saying Americans don't like that. Americans want this. Nobody's going to want to watch, name any amazing Japanese actress to play the major in Ghost in the Shell. They want an American that they know. So it's going to be Scarlett Johansson. Choices get made along the way that I think really hamper any adaptation's ability to just be a quality piece of media, regardless of whether or not it would do well at the box office for Americans. Because they're not good, that becomes the other problem. You might be right that, these execs might be right in that Americans won't watch a lead actress that isn't someone they know and recognize. Maybe from a business perspective, that is true. Americans are also pretty good at recognizing an absolute disaster. We can enjoy not quality films that are fun. That's why the Transformer movies do really well. But when things are just bad, we can't do that. And unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of anime adaptations. They just aren't good. Poor decisions get made all along the way. I don't understand why, after all this time, nobody's learning lessons, but, I'm so impressed with what the crew at One Piece was able to do as far as like picking up on lessons, even from other bad Netflix shows like Cowboy Bebop, which broke my heart into 1,000 pieces because it's probably my favorite anime of all time.
Nope. Go for it, my friend.
Yes.
This is just bringing up Robotech. And they just brought out a new source book and I think adventure for this, at least on Drive-Thru RPG. So if you have played
That's
this and are
awesome.
a fan of it, go check that out.
Good to know.
Like in the last 2 weeks.
Well, it's the same thing with Twisted Metal. I mean, when they're moving games into the social media realm, I said it's my guilty pleasure. People storm me on it, but I said one of my favorite movies of all time, because it's just a guilty pleasure, is Mortal Kombat. It's not meant to be an Academy Award winning film.
No.
It's just the way it is. It had Christopher Lambert, yes. So, and it was just to be mindless entertainment because everybody wanted to see all the fatalities and stuff and wanted to see their favorite characters come to life. I think that was one of the few movies. Now, I haven't seen it yet, but the Mario Brothers, the new one, the Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Right. If you do it right, I haven't seen it, so I can't criticize on that. But from what I'm hearing, if you can move it forward and stick to what came before and work with it, I think you can. These video game movies will come out.
Just be true to the tone. Get that tone right. Everything else.
Exactly. Because people have spent hours on these games. They know the story already. So
Roger,
when
there
you're
was no
handling
live
this,
action
you gotta
Dragon Ball Z.
prepare.
Didn't exist. Nope. Nothing.
I pretend Mortal Kombat Annihilation didn't happen. I pretend that's an alternate universe or something. So,
As far as Mario Brothers, I love the new one. Love the new. I turned it on for like background noise, but it could not be background noise. I'm like, but no, I still love the original. I still love the.
I'm with you,
Hoskins.
John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins. I think that is a fantastic film.
It really is, and it was way beyond what the world was ready for.
Yeah, it's strongly stylized in a very difficult direction for people to just like get. But I mean, it's something that, when I talk to younger people, like younger Gen Zs who really want to know like what the 90s were like, I'm like, honestly, if you look at the Mario movie, it heightens all of the terrible best sensibilities of 90s aesthetic and like, not just visual aesthetic, but like aesthetic for what we thought great stories and like great movies were.
All you kids with your video game movies. Give me board game movies. Give me more Clue and give me more Battleship. That's what
I couldn't agree more.
Clue was a great movie. Don't go dissing
Clue in your video game movies, you kids.
Flames.
They always say you can tell what kind of person you are by what movie you know Tim Curry from. And I always think of Tim Curry as Wadsworth. So.
Oh yeah.
That is the most quotable movie I can think of. Is Clue.
1 + 2 + 2 + 1.
Well, yeah, exactly. 1 + 2 + 2 + 1. And no means yes. What do you mean? Things like that. It's like no.
Then again, we had a comment talking about the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yes.
Which
Really was fantastic.
Surprised by how much I liked it, and I saw it with a avid Dungeons and Dragons who that is their hyper fixation, and was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good." And I was like, I was scared, and they were like, "Me too." But it was brilliantly done. I was like, okay. The only thing I complained about was I was like, there needed to be a spell slot joke, and there wasn't. And I wanted there to be a spell slot joke that someone was out of it. Like they implied it, but they didn't say it. And I'm like,
you got to save something for the eventual sequel.
Exactly. I think the really smart thing it's all about choices, and they made so many smart choices with that movie. Like the fact that it is not there to give you 15 minutes of exposition about how Dungeons and Dragons works and what the world is, throws you right in because every Dungeons and Dragons game, the world has existed. You are a lived in character.
I'm new as in the past 3 or 4, I was a 2020, learned how to play D&D in 2020 virtually. And so you do just kind of get thrown in. You're like, you're going to figure it out.
Yep.
You're going to sink or swim, but
you don't have to know everything. Part of the fun is discovering this is how a thing works.
Yeah. And I think it did that. And it captured that very well. So it worked well for people who knew nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, and it worked amazingly for people who were like, meh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
It did that very well, and I was very happy with it. So that was a good choice by comment person who said they are enjoying
Andrew.
it. Yes, agreed. Andrew, I think his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Andrew, yeah. And Roger thinks they should have a Magic the Gathering movie someday, and I think that would potentially. They had a bunch of novels back in the 90s.
They've been doing them actually the whole time.
Yeah.
They still do them. Some of them are great. Some of them are horrible. Yeah, they're wildly different. Thankfully, owned by the same company, so there's a very good chance that the lessons that were learned in terms of how you take a world that is based on, not just magic systems, but literal rules, and take those rules and translate them into the rules for a script.
You're giving them a lot of credit for learning lessons from the past.
I know. I'm praying.
Especially
They probably won't learn any lessons, but that would, the lessons are there to be learned should they choose to. Let's say that.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, what was the movie that really was a disaster? And I can't remember.
There's a
all
lot.
I remember
In this economy, it's all of them.
No. I mean, it was
Airbender, Percy Jackson.
No. I mean, it's a game that was converted to a movie, and all I can remember is Leroy Jenkins.
I know what you're talking about, and I'm just completely drawing a blank.
Oh my god! What? Now I'm gonna look.
Meanwhile,
yeah.
Jumanji count as a...
But yeah, somebody brought up here Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
Oh yeah.
And I loved the first one.
Oh, World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft.
The Warcraft movie.
Oh.
The Warcraft movie actually was not, I think that will be looked back upon with a little more forgiveness than it was at the time. I think so much of it was bad marketing and just weird development.
Yeah.
Well, we were waiting for Christian to agree. Christian, we were waiting for you to come up with the answer. But I think we're at 90 minutes.
We're at 90 minutes. Okay,
we're at that point.
Tim Curry, House with the Clock on the Wall. I guess that will be an episode of what? Yeah, Tim Curry, House on the Clock on the Wall. That'll be a whole show.
Which doctor would Tim Curry be? All of them?
Yes.
At the same time.
He's his own doctor. That's its own episode. You come and say like what type of doctor Tim Curry would be.
Yep.
I love that.
He would be a mixture of 11, 4, and 2, I think. Where am I wrong on that, Nick? Or are you agreeing with me on that? 11, 4, and 2.
Looking to see if Tom was asking for the link for next week, and we don't have it up yet.
We don't have it up. Yeah, we're usually won't let us make the next link, and we got to put everything together. So it'll be up very shortly, Tom. I promise.
I could see some. Sorry, I was. Continue with what you were saying. I was so focused on the Tim Curry as the doctor.
I'm fine with that.
I was like, I could see some 6.
Yes.
I could see some 6 in there because of the mood, the switch on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can see the whimsical, and then the nope, we're gonna do a complete 180 attitude. Like I can see that as with Tim Curry. Sorry. So I was like, I can see some 6 because 6 is like, yes, everything is horrible. It is horrible. Okay, buddy.
Yet it is just answer. It was World of Warcraft where Leroy Jenkins came in. I don't know why that character I know, but I don't remember the game. It's just like 6 for Tim, 100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I combined 3 doctors because I could see him being like the
He's
clown.
got the 11. I can see 2 as well. Like, yeah.
11. 11 switches on a dime too. Remember the space whale? I can't remember.
But I feel like 11's more calm about it. He's the I'm scary because you're not yelling at me.
Yeah, but Tim's a little talkative too, and he will talk his way out of something.
Because I think the scariest that 11 ever is in America when he's so done and he knows River, Amy, and Rory are keeping something from him, and he just sits down, crosses him. He was like, "Don't think you can pull one over on me. Like, don't ever think you're capable of that." That
right.
I think is more terrifying than any time he screams. I'm like, "Whoo, I am sorry, my bad." Like that's the calm parent where it's like, "Oh, you know you've messed up." It's when they're talking to you, not when they're yelling at you.
But I see him as 4 too because he's got that wide eyes and that smile that just like. he's either 2 steps ahead or he just knows that you're going to F up. That's how I see that. And that's basically a big case on Clue. When you see him, he's just looking around the room. I mean, it's just like he's trying to figure out stuff. Or he's just the scene where he's talking to the
Or he's oblivious.
Or he's oblivious, yeah.
It's one of the two. He's either wide-eyed catching every little thing, or it's like, I have no clue of who am I?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue this part 2 next Tuesday. It's going to be led off by Mr. Dave Chapman, who was kind enough to take on the chats for today. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there's our part 2.
And they're watching Game of Thrones. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I said, what are you going to do?
I did, in fact, send that to Kevo. I'm not sure. I'm like, I'm going to load that anyway just to see how bad the resolution is. Not as bad as I was expecting, actually.
No.
Game of Thrones. They're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TheRatHole.ca. Join Papa Razzo over there. Nick Smith on the Cosmic Mask. Jess it's on her Instagram at Song Swan Cosplay. Mr. James Enstall on Geek to Me Radio. Again, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday night. He goes live, and he is on the terrestrial radio, as well as TK from Essex for Show. Thank you for joining us tonight there. You
Thanks
guys have a great time. Take care of yourselves, and everybody, please take care of yourselves as well. Don't forget to say goodbye on the way out as we are saying goodbye.
Bye.
Don't forget, while we're going, gosh, I can't even talk because I forgot to hit this button. Everybody, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and enjoy. We will be back next week with part 2, led by Mr. Dave Chapman. Thank you so much, Tony. It's time to take us out. See you next week.
Woo.
We're still live. We're not. Well, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, the after show, where we wait for Christian to hit the end broadcast button, but we all make fun of Christian for not doing it.